Hi guys, I'm Matt,
And so am I.
and we just want to take a bit of time to talk to you about some pressing issues in sport today. And more specifically, we want to focus on racism. Racism is the belief that all members of a certain race possess characteristics or abilities specific to that race. So basically, racism is a form of stereotyping. I think that one reason why we see so much racism even today in sport especially is that a lot of the time people don't even realize they're doing it. Society has put into our minds that racism is synonymous with hatred and hateful acts, and many times that just isn't the case. For example, take a football team. If you were just to look at a team's roster, nothing special would jump out at you. But when you see that same team out on the field, patterns start to appear. It isn't too often that you see a black quarterback or a white running back or receiver. And that's not due to any hateful reasons, that's just the way it always has been, and people have a hard time moving away from that. For whatever reason, when coaches have a young black player on their team, their thought process immediately goes to putting that player at running back or receiver. And it's not because black players are viewed as not being smart enough to play quarterback, but being black comes with a stereotype that you're fast. And coaches naturally want to put their fastest players at positions where they can utilize their speed. For the same reason, you don't often see white running backs or receivers, because when a black man and a white man line up for a race, everyone assumes that the black man's going to win. So racism, contrary to popular belief, is not just limited to one race or person displaying hateful behavior to individuals of another race. Most of the racism that goes on today is just common stereotypes that people don't even think of as racist. On an even broader scale, we can look at racism in between separate sports, not just specific positions within a sport. For example, we can look at things such as hockey and basketball, which are sports that are very highly dominated by players from certain races. Basketball has become very much a black man's sport, and it's a safe bet that most of the professional and college teams in North America will consist of a majority of black players. This isn't because black players have some sort of natural gene that makes them superior basketball players, but because parents of white children watch NBA and college games and see how black dominated it is, and so don't want to put their child into a sport where they assume they will be destined to fail. The same thing goes for hockey, which is very much viewed as a white man's game. There are very few instances of successful black NHL players, and so parents again don't want to put their child in a sport where they are afraid they will be made fun of, or they will be destined to fail. Again, this isn't because white children are genetically inclined to be better hockey players, but when someone thinks of a stereotypical hockey player, their thought immediately goes to a white man. What these sports need in order to take these stereotypes to shake these stereotypes and to get rid of them completely are role models for these kids to look up to and think that they can be successful in a non-traditional sport for someone of their race. Someone like a Steve Nash for a basketball player, or PK Subban for a young hockey player, for kids to look at and think, I want to be just like him.
There are many professional sports team logos as well that are racist towards many Native people. Let's first look at the Washington Redskins football team. Here we have a picture of side view of a Native man with two feathers and braid in his hair. Why do we use that logo? Why can't we change that? Why don't we use something more like this? Here is a Redskin guy, typical Redskin guy, white guy, burned, and why don't we use that at Washington logo? It's perfectly acceptable just as a Native picture would be. So why can't we use that? If the Washington Redskins team would use this, I would support the football team. Now, is that racist? On the other hand, let's look at the Chicago Blackhawks. They've been around since the original 6 teams in the NHL were created, and they have used the Indian logo as their logo from the very beginning. It was originally named after a unit in the Army that was known with helicopters, and the owner was part of that unit. He was originally racist himself, not allowing any other than white men on his team. So why don't we change this logo after all these years? Why can't we use this? This is a perfectly good portrayal of a Black Hawk, even has the Black Hawk words in the logo. Why can't we use this logo? It is not racist at all. It is even, in fact, better than a Native man being portrayed. And now let's look at the Cleveland Indians. They have a registered looking logo of a big red smiling native guy with a grin from ear to ear. In fact, many natives look like this. They do not have that big grin, as you can tell. They are more depressed more of the time than anything. When you look around the school at all the other natives, do you see them with ear grins? I don't think so. Thanks for watching. I hope you take in consideration what we had to say today, and that next time you see racism in sport that you say something and stop it.